Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Veteran Series by Fantasy Football Hub. So in the first video in this series, we met Will Thomas, the man behind Fantasy Football Hub. If you missed it, the link is in the description below. In this video, we're going to concentrate a little bit more on fantasy football as we take you back, Will, through your early fantasy years. So welcome back, Will. What are your first memories of fantasy football?
Geez, well, believe it or not, the very first game I played, I don't think I've ever mentioned this to you actually, because I know you play it quite a bit, is actually Sun Dream Team.
Oh, right,
and yeah, I think some friends were playing it and they just invited me along, and somehow I managed to win, but I didn't actually play. Must have been, I don't know, 14 odd years ago, 15 odd years ago. Yeah, I remember looking through the paper, not particularly one to buy Sun, I should say, but yeah, I think I remember, just buying the paper just for the reason to play fantasy football, and yeah, looking back and trying to figure out who'd be good picks and getting quite into it, but then for some reason, I don't know, my friends didn't get it set up in time for the next year, and I didn't play fantasy for a few years after that. And then it was in the first year of uni, and my friends were playing, and yeah, they invited me along, and I hadn't played a game of fantasy. This was FPL actually, I should say. I hadn't played a game of fantasy which had a captain, and I remember picking the captain, thinking, "Oh, that would be the best real life captain." I can't remember who it was.
Roy Keane,
or someone, yeah, something like that. And yeah, but I really enjoyed it, and managed to win again, because I think that anyone who gets into fantasy football always wants to win that part of it, really. And the next year, then I played Sky and FPL, and yeah, ever since that I've been hooked on those two. So yeah, it's I think that must have been 11 years ago since I first started playing FPL.
Okay, and in terms of like your record and stuff, well, I know you're a very humble bloke, obviously, but could you just run us through your Sky fantasy record first? You've had a reasonable amount of success in Sky.
Yeah, Sky Fantasy. Unfortunately, I don't keep the season history, but I've been keeping a rough track, and I've got 5 top 100 finishes in Sky Fantasy Football, and yeah, I haven't got sort of a top 10 finish, which I'm slightly gutted about, but I have been in the top 10. I didn't finish there, but I think my biggest achievement was winning the Sky Fantasy Football Cash Leagues one year. They got sort of an overall prize or overall cash league that they do, and I won that and won around 8k doing playing the Sky game. So yeah, that's probably sort of a rough overview of playing Sky. I haven't done well this last year, unfortunately, but yeah, it's definitely a format that I really enjoy, and I think that anyone who plays FPL and wants a game that's a little bit more involved should definitely go check out Sky. It's a really good game.
Okay, and FPL as well. So I don't. There's maybe a lot of our watchers not aware, of your fancy record. So in FPL, I think your highest finish is 82nd overall. Will, I think you've got some other high finishes as well. Could you touch on that as well?
Yeah, so I've been fortunate to get I think it's 6 top 10k finishes. So I think it's been around for quite a long time, and been addicted for it with it for a long time. I think obviously those finishes are going to get harder as more and more people play the game. But yeah, I've definitely enjoyed fantasy for a long time and had some pretty good success with it, and some bad seasons thrown in there for good measure, but yeah, I've been fortunate enough to have some pretty successful seasons.
And what is the moment? Have you got like one moment in particular? I don't know whether it was like a goal or a result or something that over the years it was the kind of highlight of your your fantasy memories. Is there one moment where you're like, that was the moment?
There's loads of moments, isn't there? I think there is certainly one from last year actually, which really sort of sticks out, and it was going into a double game week, and I was and ahhing whether to bring Aguero in, and I did the last minute of the sort of the transfer deadline, and I did it so last minute that I wasn't actually sure that it had gone through. I was like, I don't know whether it had gone through. I did manage to do it, and I managed to put the triple captain on him.
Oh my
And that was
goodness.
the week that Sane scored 1 point and Aguero got a hat trick and an assist or something like that. And that really sort of catapulted me up the league, because a lot of my sort of mini league rivals and a lot of people that I knew who are good fancy players went for Sane and got 1 point, and I was fortunate enough to get Aguero with the triple captain. So it's when you get those big sort of differential captains which it really pays off. And that really boosted me up the leaderboard, and managed to get a 350th finish last season. So I was pretty happy with that. But it is those moments that when you really get that differential come in, that certainly stick out.
I think that was game week 25, wasn't it? Like a infamous sort of game week, wasn't it? When, as you say, everyone went for Sane, didn't they?
Yeah.
Crazy. Who was your favourite ever fantasy player?
I'm tempted to actually say Aguero again, just because he, the amount of times he scored hat tricks and 4 goals or even 5 goals, I seem to remember, against Newcastle. But I do also like those cheap golden nugget players, the likes of Mahrez, or probably the favourite one of all, which I think a lot of fancy managers can relate to, is probably Michu in that season where he just went absolutely nuts, and he started off ridiculously cheap. But one of those is probably my favourite. I probably Michu if I had to. If you forced me to pick, I'll go for him.
Didn't he have 2 goals and 2 assists, or something ridiculous like that in game week 1? And it was just like, wow, start off with a game week rank in the top few thousand if you picked Michu. That was incredible. So is there any specific moment, Will, that you look back on and you kind of realise that fantasy football had become, kind of more than a hobby now, was now actually a passion, and maybe something that you were looking to spend a bit more time on? Is there like a specific moment?
Yeah, I think it's going back sort of about 5 years now, and it was just it was on my mind so much. And just when I think I was doing my PhD at the time, and I was thinking about fantasy football, and I should have really been focusing more on my PhD. And I decided that I thought I'd do a blog about it. I'd do a team reveal. It was actually on Sky Fantasy Football that I sort of decided to do that on. And I don't know if I embarrassed about it, but I wasn't like, I didn't even tell my mates I was doing it. They didn't find out for quite a while later. I thought I just do something. I'll put it out there on the internet and see what happens. And 5+ years later, I'm here with a fantasy football business. It's strange how things sort of turn out. But I think the first time which I decided to blog about it was probably when I realised that I was properly addicted.
I think when you write about something for the first time, obviously speaking from experience as well, when you first press that kind of publish button, you're like, your heart goes into your mouth, and it's just a bit, oh my god. But actually, I think you tend to find that and this is for others as well. Anyone interested in kind of writing or doing anything about your passion and stuff, once you've done it once, it's very nervous doing that first time, but once you've done that, you get the bug immediately, and you realize that actually the people are very appreciative for more things to read, different angles on things, on players, on strategy and stuff. So I'd always encourage people, if they've really got a passion or an interest, to just have a go and do it, because as you say, that's how everyone starts, isn't it?
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more with that. Whatever it is, if you've got an interest, you've got a passion, just go out and do it. Just test it and get something out there. Don't spend ages sort of trying to create something which is going to be an absolute masterpiece, because you might find no one's interested in it. What I would say, just get something out, and if you get a little bit of traction, then go with it. You get feedback, you learn from it, and go from there. It's certainly, if I give one bit of advice about whether it's creating a business, starting a blog, or whatever it is, then just start and get something out there, because that's how you learn.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you, Will. So in our next video with Will, we will be asking him how he managed to fulfill every fantasy football addict's dream and set up a business working in fantasy football. The link is in the description below.